America is at risk right now, at risk for a false flag terror event. The peaceful efforts of the American people who are working to restore America to its constitutional foundation pose a threat to the global elite working to form a socialist superstate known as the New World Order. These elitists are firmly entrenched in the federal government and the supporting globalist think tanks like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg Group. The Tea Party movement is boiling over. Patriot groups are being labeled by pseudo-experts in the Southern Poverty Law Center as anti-government. The Department of Homeland Security is actually taking cues from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the FBI is actively infiltrating groups across the country, seeding violent strains of thought in an attempt to get these groups to act out. Recent court documents have proven that the feds are employing extremist radio hosts like Hal Turner to stir the pot. Meanwhile, another group referring to themselves as the Guardians of the Free Republic have initiated the Restore America plan. The latest phase of their plan included sending letters to the governors of all 50 states saying if they don't leave office within 3 days, they will be removed. While the group advocates legal remedies to reinstating the lawful constitutional republic, the mainstream media, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security are labeling them as extremists that have the potential to lead to violence. The recent militia raids conducted by the FBI and the new focus on the Guardian elders alongside the recent public outcry against the health care bill that prompted Democrats to carry out false flag attacks on their own offices only to blame Tea Party groups is another reason the public should be on high alert against any propagated threats against infrastructure by any domestic groups. A recent posting on InfoShop News encourages anarchists to organize counter-protests against the upcoming April 15th Tea Party demonstrations. Tea Partiers need to be fully aware of infiltrators from radical fringe anarchist groups, the federal government, and even plainclothes police inciting violence and raising the temperature at rallies nationwide. The Patriot Uprising is a threat to the federal government, who is acting beyond the confines of the Constitution of the United States. And the radical fringe, who are funded by the global elite to create the perception that these constitutionalist Tea Party groups are violent and must be stopped. Unfortunately, America has a history of creating perceived threats to its existence to justify carrying out wars of aggression against foreign nations and creating police-state policies against its own people. Perfect example, the 1898 sinking of the Maine. No reliable evidence was ever produced linking Spain to the event, and it is now widely believed the event was a mechanical failure or false flag operation. Operation Northwoods was a plan that originated within the United States government, drafted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, signed by Chairman Lyman Lemnisser, and sent to the Secretary of Defense. The plan called for the Central Intelligence Agency or other operatives to commit genuine acts of terrorism in U.S. cities and elsewhere. Operation Northwoods was never officially accepted by President Kennedy. However, in 1965, just 2 years after Kennedy's assassination, the Gulf of Tonkin incident occurred, where the American destroyer Maddox was supposedly attacked twice by 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats in 1964. The Gulf of Tonkin never happened. 1991, Desert Storm, media hoax. In an effort to further justify the invasion and garner public support, the daughter of Kuwaiti U.S. ambassador played nurse on TV and testified to witnessing Iraqi soldiers throwing babies out of incubators in Kuwait. This never happened. The 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. Multiple experts proved the fertilizer bomb was a diversion for the explosive charges found and removed from the building. Patsy Tim McVeigh was later the lone nut who was blamed. 2001, the 9/11 attacks. New scientific evidence has revealed that military-grade explosive thermite was discovered in the dust and debris of the World Trade Center, corroborating the physics and science of the collapse of the Twin Towers as a controlled demolition, leading many to believe that only operatives within the military-industrial intelligence complex could have pulled it off. The shoe bomber used to condition Americans to further surrender their freedoms by forcing them to remove their shoes at airport checkpoints. The London fluid bombers were used to further condition Americans to surrender freedoms by relinquishing small amounts of fluid at airport checkpoints. And most recently, the underwear bomber, who was the reason to install naked body scanners at major airports nationwide, has literally been used to strip Americans of their Fourth Amendment rights. As April 19th approaches, many anniversaries are remembered. The 1993 bombing of the Waco, Texas facility where the federal government massacred women and children. In 1995, the Oklahoma City bombing occurred. In 1861, President Lincoln orders the blockade of the Confederate ports. In 1943, the Jews fought back against Nazi occupation forces in Warsaw. And in 1775, the famed shots at Lexington and Concord were fired, starting the Revolutionary War. April 19th also marks the start of the occult 13-day satanic ritual relating to fire and demanding a fire sacrifice with an emphasis on children to the fire god Moloch. The ritual, known as the blood sacrifice to the beast, is one of the most important human sacrifice days on the occult calendar. Patriots nationwide need to raise the false flag alert to red and be on the watch for the signs of a false flag attack April 19th that will then be blamed on them. Do you have feedback or tips for us on this false flag alert? Please send an email to feedback@freedom.tv. Also, if you want to support our efforts, please send a text message to 95495, and you can send that message as RTR space 10. For the Reality Report, I'm Gary Franchi.